This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. A place I live in, but I don't consider it home. Instead, I celebrate the beautiful background behind me of Toronto, because to me, that is what I consider home. Yes, the greatest city in Canada, as far as I'm concerned. And eventually, I want to make that my home. But folks, last year, Night of the Demons celebrated its 30th anniversary. And I've been in touch with my guest today for a little bit. We're finally getting her connected and finally getting her on here. And folks, I got to welcome the lovely, the beautiful Cathy Podewell. How do you do, Cathy?
Hi, Greg. I'm so glad to be on. Thank you for having me. Actually, I think it's more than 30 years because it came out in 87. So there we
Oh,
have
it
it.
says 88 on the thing.
Or 88, 88, 88. Yeah, we filmed in 87. It came out in 88. Yeah. So
Yeah.
a few more years over 30, but that's fine. 30 sounds fine.
Well, you're my third guest from the film. I've had Linnea Quigley on here, and I've had Amelia Kincaid on here. So, in fact, I've met Linnea twice at conventions. So, yeah, she still hides her lipstick in that certain spot. So, yeah, it's her
Spoiler,
carry on.
yeah. One of the greatest scenes probably of any horror film of all time. I really feel like that's crazy. But anyway, I'm in good company. If you've had those two on, then I'm definitely in good company. So it's nice to be here.
She still does her makeup that way too.
Yeah, she does.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, before we talk about Night of the Demons, I'd like to get a little bit of your background and what got you into the business.
Well, my grandparents were veteran theater actors in Chicago, and
Mhm.
my grandmother sort of, you know, tapered off, decided to stay at home. She had four children, including my father. And my grandfather continued acting until his mid 90s. I think he was 92. He did one of his most famous roles is he plays the old homeless man in Groundhog Day with Bill Murray.
Oh,
So
nice.
he, yeah. So, and I think he was 92 when he filmed that. So they are definitely my acting role models. And when I was a kid, of course, I loved to be funny. I loved to like entertain the family. In high school, I did theater and plays, and I just thought, I like this. Let's carry on the Podewell acting name. My grandparents actually tried to talk me out of it. They thought if they could talk me out of it, because it's such a difficult business, that they would have done me a favor, but they didn't talk me out of it. And so, therefore, I proceeded ahead and was very blessed to have worked for the amount of time that I did before I took time off to have raise my three kids.
Now, I did read up on you, and I know your grandparents were in the acting world, but why weren't your parents in the acting world? Now, what made them kind of dip down and then you dip up?
Well, it skipped my dad out of his three siblings. One sister was a jazz singer, one sister was an artist, and his brother was a drama professor at Tulane University in New Orleans. And my dad was a sports guy, so he was a PE teacher and a high school football coach and wrestling coach. So he completely, you know, the artistic theatrical side completely missed him, and then obviously skipped a generation. So I got the bug.
Actually, you know what? Sounds to me like they all did well.
They did. They did.
I mean,
They
you
really
can't argue with that. They all had great professions, you know, so there you go.
exactly. They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Absolutely. And of course, you did a lot of television. I got my television set up to watch Blu-rays, so I don't really watch television. And quite frankly, I'm not big on reality television, if you can call it that now. So I remember a lot of stuff growing up with. And of course, everybody remembers Dallas and JR and Larry Hagman, and you were part of that.
I was so blessed to be a part of that. Um, that was just a lucky. I auditioned. It was supposed to be like 4 to 7 episode guest star role, and I was lucky enough to do that. And then the chemistry, the writers and producers felt like the chemistry and the storyline could continue. So I ended up staying on for most of the last 3 years of the show, playing JR's wife. At 20, I think I was 25, 25, 20, 24 when I got it. So yeah, 24 to 27. So it was an amazing role, an amazing run on an amazing show that's like iconic. And you can, yeah, you're right. You can pretty much, people, even non-television people, know who, for the most part, know who JR was.
Mhm.
So it was very cool to be on such an iconic show for sure.
Well, I was born in the early 70s, so my mom used to watch Dallas, and I wasn't a regular watcher of the show, but even I recognize Larry Hagman and connect him with that show. So
That, or I Dream of Jeannie. Actually, that I didn't watch Dallas, but I was a huge I Dream of Jeannie fan. So for me, it wasn't, JR, it was Major Nelson. And so it was quite a thrill. And Larry was such an amazing man, so funny, so warm, so loving. Made me feel like a part of the Dallas family from minute one. So it was, yeah, one of my most favorite people I've ever met in my life, for sure.
there you go. Well, how did you land at Night of the Demons? Because I imagine outside Dallas, that's probably what you're most known for.
For sure. Absolutely. I have done a few conventions, and even at like a Dallas reunion convention, half of the people coming up are still Night of the Demons fans. So yes, it's an amazing fan base. That movie is the gift that keeps on giving. I love the fans. Such a thrill to be a part of it, especially because it was such a surprise to find out like 30 years later that it was this cult classic, because I had been raising my kids and I really had no idea. I thought, once Blockbuster died and, that was the end of Night of the Demons as far as I knew. So finding out it was this cult classic was, yes, quite a shock. And I think it was the job, maybe I think it was my second job, because I got my SAG card, and that's kind of a funny story. I got my SAG card on a show that Johnny Depp was the other guest star, and he killed me on this episode of a show called Lady Blue. That's how I got my SAG card. Not such a bad way to get your card. And then I just auditioned for Night of the Demons. I thought it was so cool that she was the final girl, and she was kind of, the lead in that sense of, being the one that gets to live. And I read for the director and the casting director, and the casting director actually had to tell Kevin Tenney, the director, for the callbacks, that he loved me because my headshot didn't really look like me at the time. It was not a very good headshot. It made me look older, and he thought, oh, she looks too old. And the casting director, thank goodness, was like, no, Kevin, you loved her. You loved her. We're bringing her back in. And then once I walked in the door, he was like, oh, yeah, okay. So that's how I got the role. And yeah, was an amazing group of young actors. Most of us, this was kind of our first role. And, we felt like it was sort of like a Little Rascal, our gang, come on, let's make a movie. And it was Kevin Tenney, the directors. It was his sophomore film. He had done a movie called Witchboard right out of USC Film School. So this was his second movie. And the Steve Johnson was the makeup artist. And I absolutely think that is one of the most spectacular parts of this 80s campy horror film is the practical makeup that he did. Um, and so, yeah, we had a month of night shoots, and it was fun beyond belief.
Do you still scale over walls?
I don't, with climbing with barbed wire. No, that was very painful. So I decided I'm not going to do that anymore. Yeah. No, that was yeah, all of that was super fun to do. And I wanted to do the fall scene. I mean, they had me on the crane, that kind of crane that they can do a slow motion of a fall, but I wanted to literally hang from the side of the building, which I got to do a little bit of. They hoisted me, but I didn't get to do the fall, the let go fall. And they hired a stunt woman, and you can sort of tell that her hair, her wig is not me. So I've always wished that I could have done all of the stunts for that movie, but it was still climbing walls, hanging on walls, was super fun.
And you get to be the final girl. That's pretty cool.
It's very cool. Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that not only was there the final girl, but there was the final boy who happened to be African American. So I
You know
think
what's
it's,
funny about
yeah,
that
yeah.
is it's a trope in horror movies. The black guy always dies first, and not only did he was he the final boy, he got out of the place. He actually got out of there.
I know. I loved Roger. Alvin Alexis played Roger, and I loved his character. I loved that he was scared. I loved that he got to live. And that's another component, I think, of why Night of the Demons is sort of this cult classic, because of certain unusual, and that's definitely, like you said, the black guy always gets it first. So I love that about this movie,
Did
that
he,
he,
did he
you
look
know,
at the script and think that maybe there was a misprint?
I don't know. I don't know.
This is not right. I liked
Yeah.
him in it though, especially when he's like in the vehicle, and he's kind of laying there trying to sleep and see what's going on. Doesn't dare go outside. But he was a smart character though, so which is something new in some of these movies.
Exactly. He was not a stupid teenager, that's for sure. Yeah.
No, but it must be fun going places with Linnea Quigley, knowing she has her own built-in storage unit.
He, that, talk about, well, and the funny thing about that scene, and if you haven't seen it, listeners, you won't, this won't really make sense, but the her prosthetic chest to make that effect happen was done by the makeup artist Steve Johnson. They ended up getting married for a few years. They were married, so that's kind of a little interesting uh, little fun fact about Night of the Demons. But yeah, isn't that scene? It's probably the most talked about scene of the movie.
That
Again,
and her makeup
spoiler alert.
scene.
The what?
That and her makeup scene.
Yes, exactly.
She missed her lips on that, I think.
Again, iconic. That's like the image, that little, yeah, so great.
Uh, I met Linnea twice. I met her first at the 2018 Horrorama, and I got her to sign my Silent Night, Deadly Nights Blu-ray, but I've got a picture from Night of the Demons off her table of her in the pink dress where she's in the convenience store and her ass is sticking out.
Yes, yes.
So I got her to sign that, and I got a picture of her with the makeup on too, where she draws the heart with lipstick on her face, and I got one, of course, of her as uh, the aerobics chainsaw woman or whatever that was that she was doing.
Right.
But I got a few, and then I met her again. Last year at Frightmare in the Falls. So, because I was there assisting Lisa Langlois from class of 1984, whom I'm about to do Chiller with. It'll be my first US convention. So I assist Lisa at these events. She opened these opportunities for me. I've never traveled until 2017, so that's why I love Toronto so much, because that's when she invited me. But Nonetheless, I've met Linnea, and she was on here on my birthday in 2019.
She's
So
a,
I had her.
she's a sweetheart. She really is. I
Hmm.
love
Yep. And we're both in James Balsamo's Cool as Hell 2 as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
what is that? The movie?
Oh, yeah, James Balsamo approaches a lot of people at the conventions and whatnot and gets them to cameo in his movies. And I'm in 9 of his movies. I'm not an actor, but he just asked me one night. He sent me this email and he asked me if I'd film my own death scene for Cool as Hell too. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, Linnea Quigley's gonna be in this. I'm like, I'm sold. But my biggest one for him was It Wants Blood because I'm being watched on a television by Eric Roberts, and I'm like, I just shot my scene here, and he's watching me on a
That's
television.
so fun. That's very funny.
I can't wait to meet him and ask him what I was like to work with.
He'll be like, "What? Excuse me?"
I haven't had him on here yet, but I'd like to get him. But nonetheless, I've had Lene on here, and I had Amelia Kincaid on here. I think it was in 2022, if I remember correctly. I had her on here because I just landed a new job at the time, and I was having a hard time scheduling her because it was one of those jobs where you're on call.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had her on here, and we talked about her going nuts all the time, and
What do you mean? She goes, does she? No,
did she go nuts? Not at
no.
all. She
She's
just has a
she's
very interesting wardrobe and attire.
oh yeah, she's great at conventions. She's got the best clothes ever. She is one smart cookie. She's written books and she travels all over the world. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, she was doing something in Africa whenever I was talking to her, and I love
Yeah,
African wildlife. So there you go.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, you were also in actually going back to Night of the Demons. I was going to ask was what was your favorite thing to shoot in it, and what was the most difficult thing to shoot in it? Because you did get to play the lead, so you're front and center.
I the most fun thing to shoot. Well, I have to say, going back to that wall and climbing on the wall and having everybody in demon makeup pulling at me was fun on so many levels. One, I was so grateful that I didn't have to sit for 8 hours in the makeup chair like most of them had to do. Um, but having them all like, and kind of grabbing at me was super fun. And I have, obviously that was like, you are in a horror film, 100% you are in a horror film. So that was really fun. And then difficult, I don't think anything was really difficult. The only thing that I sort of look back on and go, there's the scene in the crematorium, and it had been rewritten like either that afternoon or something, and I didn't quite fully have it memorized. And so the way that I played it, it's very hard for me to watch because I cringe because I can see myself trying to remember the words, and it's not very well acted, so that bothers me. But it wasn't difficult. It was actually to like do the flame throwing to have the pyrotechnic effect was very cool. It was super cool. But yeah, we had just like so much fun together, like all the young actors just hanging out and uh, trying not to be scared. We had dressing rooms in this old house that we filmed the movie in, and the like third floor were our dressing rooms. None of us went to our dressing rooms. I don't think one time. We were all outside in our director's chairs in between takes. And so we got to know each other because we weren't isolated in our dressing room, so to speak. Yeah, it was fun, really fun.
And of course, you were in another film I haven't seen, but I got to check it out based on the title, Beverly Hills Brats. Are you a brat from
No,
Beverly Hills?
well, yes, yes.
Whet my
Yeah,
appetite on that because I do like teen comedies, and I think this is right in that genre, is it not?
it is. It is. It is. Yes, it's definitely in that genre. It's Peter Billingsley plays my younger brother. Martin Sheen plays my father. Terry Moore plays my mother. She was famous for being married to Howard Hughes for a certain period of time. And then Emilio Estevez's brother, Ramon,
Hmm.
plays my other brother. So Martin's son plays my other brother. Burt Young is in it. Whoopi Goldberg makes a cameo. Uh, and it's a whole lot of silly, but it was so much fun to shoot. Really, really fun. I mean, like crazy that I was playing Martin Sheen's daughter. I loved it.
Well, yes, he must have just got back from Apocalypse Now.
I mean, it wasn't just, but it was definitely like that was on my mind, that he's that caliber that he was doing this movie was um he was a
So,
producer on it. So I think that's probably why he decided to, you know, be a part of it. And I think his wife is a producer, if I recall, and then his son. And actually, his daughter, Renee, was supposed to play my part. And for some reason, something happened. And that's why I got the part. It opened it up. And so it was super fun.
did Peter Billingsley let you play with his Red Ryder BB gun?
Yeah. So talk about an iconic movie. Wow. A Christmas Story was just, yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
He,
he didn't talk you into sticking your tongue on
no,
a frozen.
no, no.
Didn't deny it. Something else I got to bring up too. You were in a movie that I saw not too long ago, and it was called Reunion from Hell. I've got it here on Blu-ray. I've had just had Hayden Newman on for the fifth time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know.
I've
Okay.
had Hayden Newman on here quite a few times. Yeah. Um, I was, I don't know whether I was associate producer or something on Reunion from Hell just through the Indiegogo or whatnot. I forget what I was on it. Um, I got burned on one of those, so I quit doing those now. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But
But if you got a credit, Hayden was really good about that. I'm sure you're on that. You
oh
got
yeah,
that.
actually I was really impressed with because I remember when I got it when he sent it to me. I don't know whether it goes from he or she. I'm trying to be respect. He forgives me.
They, I know.
Yeah,
Same,
I don't
same thing. I
I
know.
don't want to be disrespectful, but Hayden wouldn't get angry at me anyway, you know. Um, Hayden's always been great with me, but I'll tell you one thing. I didn't know what to expect when Hayden was starring in it. I
Right.
mean, Hayden was directing it and starring in it.
And wrote it.
Yeah, and I got to see the second one. I'm not involved with the second one, but I got to see it. But I was quite impressed with Hayden's performance.
Yeah.
Hayden's really good in it.
Yeah. Really.
Really, really good in it. I was surprised.
Hayden's a triple threat. That's what I say.
Hmm.
You know, it's very impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and of course, you're in it. Now, I need to ask, because Lisa Wilcox ended up filling in for you on the second one. I've had Lisa Wilcox on here back in 2016. What had happened if you don't, if you're able to say
Yeah.
that you weren't able to do the second one?
Just a conflict of timing. So I couldn't do it. And then uh yeah, then it was like, oh, this whole Nightmare on Elm Street 3, right? Is that what they were? 3.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
well,
the three
one of
actors.
them was Matt Patton was Elm Street 2, and
Right,
Danny
right,
Hassel's in it, so you got all the Elm Streets.
right. And I said it was, I go, Hayden, it's a blessing, really, to like have the caliber of those. that kind of reunion and
Mhm.
reunion from hell too, was fantastic.
Yeah, because one thing I know, Hayden had a rough start getting that first Reunion from Hell movie going.
Yeah.
And you know, rough start or not,
Yeah.
Hayden got the second one going quite well. So I'm like, Hayden, I think, is just going to get better. And
To have that, I agree. I mean, to have that sort of vision and tenacity, um, to make these films happen, any independent filmmaker that, um, you know, sort of puts it all together, it just amazes me to have that sort of tenacity. It's just fantastic. Yeah, it's great.
absolutely. Yeah. So I got it here on Blu-ray and I was quite pleased with it. So yeah. I don't remember who put me in touch with you, whether it was Hayden or whether it was Tommy Kovac from Splat from the Past. One of them did.
Yeah,
But yeah, because I know Tommy's had you on his show. So
I,
he says hello, by the way.
I love Tommy. He's so funny. He's so
Yeah.
funny. Well, you
Oh
tell him
yeah.
back. You tell him hello back.
Well, we throw guest ideas back and forth, and I'll be at work because I work two cleaning jobs. I do this for fun.
Right.
And I'll get these messages from him. He'll like, have you tried this person? Have you got anybody from this movie or whatnot? So um, anyway, either he or Hayden, one of them put me in touch with you or turned me on to you. So, but anyway, I was wondering when you do the conventions, what's the most unique thing you've ever been asked to sign?
That's a really good question. Uh, I haven't had anything weird, so there's nothing weird. I think unique. Um, I was at a convention. I think it was a horror convention. So when I get a Dallas piece of memorabilia, I'm always like, oh, Dallas. Um, and I think it was a puzzle or something. But this person had, I don't know, it was like 100 signatures. Like they had almost every actor. It was quite amazing. Um, so I remember being blown away by that. But yeah, other than that, nothing crazy. I think. Yeah, I can't think of anything.
So not like Catherine Mary Stewart, who told me that she signed somebody's butt cheek.
No, that's what I was gonna say. No body parts, no, yeah, yeah, no tattoo. I know there's one gentleman out there with a tattoo of me, but I haven't met him yet. So but yeah, nothing too weird.
Do people come up to Linnea Quigley and sign her with a lipstick?
So many people come up as her though, you know,
Uh,
definitely like with amazing costumes. So I've seen quite a few good Amelia's and Linnea's or
there you-
Angela. Yeah.
Now, what do your children think of Night of the Demons, or have they seen it?
Only one out of three of my children have seen it. And they have not seen, I don't think, anything. Well, I did a TV movie of the week that my nieces loved so much. So every time we'd go visit the cousins in Cleveland, they would put on this movie of the week called Earth Angel. So my kids have seen that. Um, but like I said, only one. My middle child has seen Night of the Demons, and she loved it. So that was good. We went to a screening. I think for the 35th or 30th anniversary. Yeah. So yeah, but that's it. So it's not really in their um I mean, now I'm doing more things. I have more time that they're grown, but so it's kind of come up more. But while I was a full-time mom, it rarely came up in conversation. It was almost like a completely separate life.
Do you have any the memorabilia from the movie?
I no, I don't know why. Like Billy Gallo, who played Sal, has
Mhm.
his bloody costume. He has, I think he has the stake, how he was killed, the bloody stake. Like he kept all this great stuff, and I did not keep anything. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm so bummed. I wish I had. I think I had 2 Alice in Wonderland costumes, or maybe had more than that. So I had a clean one and I had a dirty one for the end of the movie. Ah, I don't know where they are.
You didn't even get to keep a piece of the barbed wire up the wall.
Nope, not none. I do have actually an original poster somewhere, unless it got thrown out, and that's my only. I can't find it, so I'm hoping it didn't get thrown out. But I'm I have somewhere, hopefully. The movie was originally called Halloween Party, and the producer of the Halloween franchise was going to sue the producers of not now Night of the Demons, because they said you can't use Halloween in the title of your horror film. So to avoid a lawsuit, because they thought, oh, they have so much money, the Halloween franchise, will just rename it. And I'm so happy that they did, because I think Night of the Demons is a way better title than Halloween Party. But I do have somewhere an original poster.
Wonder what's wrong calling it Halloween party. I mean, it's all it has to have is just different kind type of lettering and whatnot. I
It
don't
did,
get
and
that.
it was completely different. It was, yeah, but no, can't, because it was shortly after Halloween, and they didn't want any sort of confusion, or I guess I get it, but uh,
Hmm.
I'm grateful, because I think Night of the Demons is a perfect title.
All right. Do you have a web page you want to plug on here and any charities you're involved with?
I oh, that's so nice of you to ask. I have many friends with muscular dystrophy. I was really involved with the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
Mhm.
I'm not really involved anymore with MDA, but any sort of charity, helping to find a cure for muscular dystrophy is near and dear to my heart. Um, and there is a sweet, lovely man who is now my friend, started a Cathy Podewell fan page on Facebook. So there is that, and he does post Night of the Demon stuff as well as Dallas. His sort of area of expertise is Dallas, but he's very good about posting all of my stuff. And I just have an Instagram, Cathy Podewell. So, and I do post Night of the Demons, like personal photos and things like that I find, in my collection, or something, unique to me. So I try to, get that onto the Instagram account.
Absolutely. Now you did Reunion from Hell. Do you got anything else coming up, like any of these independent movies?
I don't. Hayden sent me that script right during COVID, after my youngest graduated from high school during COVID. And I had always said for 30 years of raising my children, when my youngest graduates, I can go back to work. And in came the script. Hayden said, would you play my mom? And I felt like it was like a sign and meant to be. And I loved that it was LGBTQ themed, horror film. I thought that was so unique. And I just felt like it was meant to be. So I said yes without, I was like, yeah, not thinking, oh, we're in the middle of a pandemic and how's that going to work? I just was like, yes, I'm in. And so, but yeah, so I'm ready to go back to work. Um, Trying to figure out what that's going to look like. Of course, my youngest went off to college, but as that happens, of course, I'm now taking care of my mom, who has Alzheimer's.
Hmm.
So now I've got it. I have to consider what I'm going to do with her, so to speak, if I end up getting a job. Um, so I'm trying to figure all of that out so I can get back, because I would love to get back to work. I would love
Yeah.
to, even do just like a local series in LA. Do a sitcom, and um, you know, not
Yeah,
even
that's
try.
got to be hard. That's got to be hard.
I know it is. Oh, you mean with my mom? Yeah, it is. It is, but I'm blessed that we have room for her and I'm able to take care of her. It's so it's a blessing, really, even though, yeah, it's so sad and it's so hard and it's a cruel disease. It's no
Yeah.
fun, no fun for sure.
Oh, I just lost my dad 2 years ago after an 8-year battle with ALS. You want to talk
Oh,
about, yeah.
talking about muscular dystrophy, that's
Mm,
Lou Gehrig's. That's one of the 40 neuromuscular diseases. I'm so sorry.
yeah.
Talk about rough. And see, that's the thing I always say, when somebody says, "Oh, it's so hard with your mom." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you know what? It could be worse." And ALS could, you know what I'm saying? Like you can find gratitude in your bad situation because, I think, okay, she doesn't have cancer. She's not physically, sick. I feel she doesn't, physically feel horrible. And, so anyway, just finding the gratitude. But I'm really sorry about your dad. That's an awful one.
What does your husband think of Night of the Demons?
You know, I don't know. I don't think I've ever like asked him. Maybe I'm afraid to ask him what he really thinks. Um, I'm not sure if he's the biggest horror fan, but yeah, I think he likes it.
Yeah. Is he afraid you're going to bring Linnea and Amelia over for girls' night and
Do he was I was first dating him. That's how long we've been together. I met him in 80, right before the movie, like 6 months before I started filming Night of the Demons. I met him. So he was
Mhm.
on set. He met everybody. Um, so I feel like it's he's part of the family in that sense.
Did
Yeah.
he consider you the most normal?
No, no, my character. Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
I'm
that's
poking and prodding at Linnea
yeah,
there
yeah.
on that
Hey
because
now,
it's so
hey now,
easy to do.
hey now. Yeah, but no, he's good. Actually, he's watching my mom right now. Wait, what time is it? Do I have to go? I should really go because he has to go, and he's been watching my mom so we can talk. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. I
Mhm.
I appreciate you loving Night of the Demons and having so many of us on.
Absolutely. Well, before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Sure, sure.
Just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Okay. Hi, this is Cathy Podewell. You are listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Absolutely, folks. See Kathy and Night of the Demons and Beverly Hills Brat and
Dallas,
Dallas and
Earth
Reunion from
Angel.
Hell.
Oh, yeah, Reunion from Hell.
Yes,
Thank you guys.
absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Greg.
Absolutely. God bless you. You
Thank
have
you.
yourself a wonderful night.
Thank you. You too. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Finally did it. Bye.